All right. Mhm. All right. Welcome everyone. It is Monday, December 1st, the first Monday of December. We do these every first Monday of the month at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. And that's right now. So I am trying to figure out. I thought, oh, there you go. Boom. All right. So everyone is muted. So the way that I try to structure these is we'll go ahead and take call or questions. Go ahead and put your hand up or say something in the chat if you have a question, and we'll just go through them. We'll take the time that we need to answer them. We have a bit of a smaller group here. That's okay. It is the first Monday in December, so not super surprising. And let me just rename that because it's December. Awesome. All right. What questions do you guys have for me? Who has a, go ahead, put your hand up. You have a question and we'll start going through them. No one has any questions. There we go. Kevin, how are you doing today? What you got for me?
Hey, then, Caleb. Well, I have a whole bunch of questions. I don't want to dominate the call, so I'll just ask kind of one and then more if I get the chance.
Sounds like a plan.
How does Lead Snap compare to listings in Go High Level and the new Search Atlas in Go High Level?
So I don't know Search Atlas and Go High Level. I haven't used that. The listings in Go High Level, as I recall, that was handled by Yext. So it's going to be pretty similar to what LeadSnap does. The biggest difference in my experience, and they may have changed it, I know that Yext used to delete your listings if you canceled with them, and LeadSnap doesn't. So that's one of the larger differences, but I know that they're going to use similar providers, similar services.
Okay. That's my question for now. I'll let somebody else ask one.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't you just keep on going, Kevin?
Okay. Um, so I imagine if joining one chamber of commerce is good, it can't hurt to join a bunch.
You're exactly right. So there's a story I've told. I have a client who is a personal injury attorney in New Orleans. Personal injury is very, very competitive. New Orleans, solid like upper size city, 500,000 people, something like that in New Orleans. Um, and they came on board, signed up to be a client. I offered them a 90-day full money back guarantee. If they weren't in the top three, I would refund everything. This is an absolutely insane offer to make on a personal injury firm. This was many years ago, and I was kind of in a different place then than I am now. But anyway, so I made them that offer. They said yes. And about 2 months in, we've made a little bit of progress, but they weren't in the top three yet. So I'm starting to get kind of nervous. And what I ended up doing was I joined 11 or 12 chambers of commerce. Basically, every chamber of commerce that was within 70 miles of their address, I joined on their behalf. So that was enough, right? 11 or 12 different chambers. A couple weeks later, they are in the top three, and they've been in the top three for like 7 or 8 years without really any drop or loss out of the top three. The biggest impact was all of the chamber memberships. We also did a bunch of other stuff, but yeah, just joining a bunch of chambers. And, a lot of people get worried about joining that many chambers. I mean, if you're paying the Chamber of Commerce, in my experience, they just don't care. Um, every year I have a renewal call with the New Orleans Chamber, and the call will like we'll schedule something. They'll call me and they'll be like, "Oh, are you happy with your New Orleans Chamber of Commerce membership?" And I'll say, "Yes, I'm very happy with it." And then they'll say, "Oh, do you go to a lot of the chamber events?" No, I've never been to a single one of the events. Oh, okay. Well, do you get a lot of leads from our website? No, we've never gotten a single lead from your website. "Oh, but you're happy with the membership?" "Yes, I'm very happy. I'd like to renew for the next year, please." Like they just don't care, right? And they're also members of like the Mobile Chamber of Commerce. This is Mobile, Alabama. It's, I don't know, probably 60 miles, probably maybe 70 miles from New Orleans. And it's a similar conversation with them. Like, yes, I'm very happy. I've never been to a single meeting, but it's a perfect chamber and I love it. Um, so yeah, just if you're having a lot of trouble ranking, there is the prompt that you guys have in the prompt library that will help you find additional local businesses or local charities, local events to support. Youth sports leagues are fabulous for this. We also sponsored for the same PI firm. We also sponsored something called the Bayou Bash, and they got a link from that and a very trustworthy website because a lot of these local business, local sponsorship opportunities, websites, local events, local charities, they're going to be getting links from like the local newspaper, the local television station. So they just become incredibly well trusted local websites that when you get links from them, you can backpack off of all of that built up trust. So that prompt to find those things is in the prompt library. I have heard, I always run it with Claude, but I have heard from a couple of people that they ran it with the new Gemini 3 Pro. And it did really, really well. Gemini 3 Pro did a bang up job finding the right ones. Did even better than the newer Claude Opus 4.5 and Sonnet, whatever number Sonnet is. Both of those came out like early last week. So those two things combined, join chambers of commerce. There'll be a couple $100 a piece, $200 to $400. Plus, look for those local sponsorship opportunities, youth sports leagues, like events like the Bayou Bash, anything that's looking for a charitable organizer. Another good one, if you're in the South at least, is the Junior Auxiliary. They're always looking for sponsorships. They give you a link if you sponsor them, and you can sponsor them for $100 and get a link from this very highly trusted local business or local website. So anyway, that's what I would say. That's the approach that we take for those local authority links. And yeah, even with this PI attorney, if you talk to a lot of SEOs, link building for a PI attorney in a 500,000 population town, their budget is probably way more than we spend, right? We're spending $2,500, $3,000 a year on the chamber memberships, and that's about it. We're not doing much else in the form of link building because you don't need to when you have those powerful local links, which is where our focus is. All right,
I think
go ahead.
Thank you. You touched kind of on my next question there. By the way, I'm just brand new. Really impressed with you, by the way. And
I appreciate that. Thank you.
starting to go through your materials, literally just like this weekend. And one of the things you said, I can't remember, I was watching something. I just got into your program now, and I'm literally just like working on the first video, but I think I was watching a bunch of YouTube videos about you on the weekend and or you speak on the weekend. One of the things you said was you use Claude in that video. You didn't mention Gemini in that video, but you mentioned Claude. I have Chat GDP. Should I be going out and getting Claude to run these prompts, or do you think Chat GDP will do a fair enough job?
Yeah, so I have subscriptions to both ChatGPT 5.1 and to Claude, and every time I have put the two head to head, Claude has won. And it's interesting. I'll go on a very slight tangent briefly. ChatGPT 4 was basically trained on the entire internet. ChatGPT 5 was also trained on essentially the entire internet. And what happens when you train a pattern recognition machine on the internet is you get something that very quickly will gravitate toward the worst excesses of humanity that you can find on the internet. So in order to fix that, OpenAI had to implement a second level of training called reinforcement through human learning, which basically means exactly what it sounds like. It's a bunch of humans running ChatGPT and then manually giving ChatGPT feedback on its responses in order to put in place these guardrails. So the founder of Anthropic, and Anthropic runs Claude. The founder of Anthropic is Dario Amodei is his name. And he used to work for Sam Altman at OpenAI. And he left OpenAI because he left right when they were transitioning from ChatGPT 3 to 3.5. and it wasn't ChatGPT 3, it was just GPT-3. So he left right during that transition. GPT-3 was trained on a very high quality data source of copyrighted books, Reddit posts that had upvotes, like a high quality data set. Um, and for the next version, 3.5, they needed more training data, so they just used the internet as a whole. And that created this version of the model that Dario didn't like. He didn't like how it was being trained because of all this RHLF that was needed on the back end to fix it. So he left and he started Anthropic and Claude with Amazon money. And his training philosophy is very, very different from OpenAI. Like Claude Opus 4.5 is probably has like 1%, maybe 10% of the parameters of GPT 5.1, but it was trained on a much smaller, tighter, higher quality data set so that every time I've tested Claude versus GPT, Claude's responses have been better, more human, and every AI detector that's out there is basically built to detect ChatGPT content because ChatGPT is the Google of large learning models, right? ChatGPT has something like 90% of the market. Uh, Gemini, I mean, it's not exactly true, I guess, because Gemini now has nearly as many users as ChatGPT does, but that's because Gemini is built into all of Google's products. So in terms of the number of people who actually are actively looking to use an AI model, ChatGPT is, the 90+% of the market. So all of the AI detectors are built to detect ChatGPT content, not AI written content in general. So a first pass on Claude, you'll often get detection scores in the 20 or 30% range, and a first pass on ChatGPT, you'll often get 80 or 90% range. And if you do get a high score on Claude, just simply re-ask Claude, hey, rewrite this at a fifth grade reading level or rewrite this at a fourth grade reading level, and that'll usually get your AI score to like 20% or below. So Claude is exclusively the one that we use for work. I can't remember the last time I used ChatGPT for anything work related. And honestly, my usage of ChatGPT in general is going down. I used to use it for a lot of the voice sessions because I like to brainstorm out loud. And ChatGPT had the voice conversation you could have with it, but Claude introduced that feature. I think ChatGPT, I still think the voice is much more human in an almost creepy sort of way that Claude isn't quite able to replicate yet. But I mean, you can still do the chat with Claude. And then the other thing that I used to use ChatGPT for all the time was if I just had a really quick question or something, but I didn't want to spend all the time to put together like this big detailed prompt. Because ChatGPT has a memory over multiple sessions, if you just go and ask it a quick question, the content is often going to be better than Claude. But now Claude has memory. That was another feature that was introduced to Claude. So Claude has a very similar memory of who you are, similar, same as what ChatGPT does. So anyway, for all of those reasons, hopefully that's probably way more detailed than you were hoping for. We use Claude now. A couple weeks ago when Gemini 3 Pro came out, I started to use Gemini 3 Pro quite a bit also. I do like that one. Claude introduced its new models, and its new models are strong, so we went back to Claude. But anyway, yeah. All right, so Aaron has his hand up. Sam asked in the chat, let me hit Sam's question. Sam said, if you search best Fullerton dentist, why does a competitor show up in the top 3 if they have one link and only 50 reviews, which are hundreds lower than the others? And the landing page isn't really optimized. So I say this pretty often. I don't very often do a lot of competitor research on SEO. Okay. Like I see a lot of videos, a lot of stuff on YouTube about people talking about how to do competitive research, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We don't spend a lot of time with that at my agency. I don't talk about spending time on that because I think it's a waste of time. The reason, when we think about Google and what it's looking for, what it's rewarding, right? It is rewarding goal completion. If somebody is searching for something and they can find that something quickly, the faster they can find it, the happier it's going to make Google's algorithm, the happier it makes Google's searchers, the higher it's going to rank, right? So if we look at a local business website, the goal completion is that whatever issue you search, so say you search plumber near me, right? Then 3 plumbers come up. What Google wants to see ideally, is that somebody calls your plumbing business, say you're number two, somebody calls that plumbing business, Google knows that they called, right? Then you're on the phone for maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes, and Google knows how long you've been on the phone, right? Remember, Google didn't release Android out of the goodness of their heart. They released it to collect more data to improve their search algorithm. Android has half of the smartphone market in the United States. So Google knows that you were making the call. Google knows whether the business owner is answering the call. And Google knows how long that call is taking for at least half of the calls, which is definitely a statistically significant sample size. Okay. So then you call the plumber, you have a conversation with the plumber, you hang up your phone, and you don't call any other plumbers, right? That is a sign of goal completion. Whatever issue you had that caused you to search plumber near me, the first one you called fixed that issue, solved it. You didn't need to call any other plumbers. Now imagine if instead you called that plumber and it went to voicemail, okay? We've all had that experience. You're looking for a plumber, it goes to voicemail. How annoying is that? You hang up and then you call another plumber. Okay, that's a bad sign for the one that went to voicemail. Now Google sees that first one didn't meet goal completion. Okay, so I say all of this. The punch of it, the end of it, is the result that when we're trying to do competitor analysis, we can't see the most important data. Right? If I'm looking at the top three, I can't see how well they're doing at answering the phone, meeting everyone's needs, and not forcing them to call other plumbers. That data is completely invisible to me. I can't see it. There's no way for me to see that or even estimate it. So the most important thing to Google's algorithm is invisible to us. How would we expect to be able to do competitor research when we can't see the most important thing, right? So that's why I think competitive research is largely a waste of time. That's why you'll see things exactly what Sam is describing. There'll be this incredibly competitive category. Two of the top three have 10,000 reviews. They have a domain rating of 60. They have 500 indexed URLs. And the number three guy has 4 reviews and no website. How is he still in the top three? Because he answers the phone and he provides goal completion, and he's been doing it for years. He got into the top three before it was competitive, when Google was this, maybe he created his GBP or GMB way back in the day. He created it first. So he got to be in the top three just because there weren't enough others to compete against. And since he got into the top three, he's been doing goal completion well. So Google doesn't move him out. It's hard to overcome that momentum, right? If you often and frequently provide good goal completion, what Google is looking for, you will very often just sit in the top three and not be overtaken. And you mentioned reviews. Reviews are not a significant rank factor. They are a rank factor, but they're not significant. Anyone who says that reviews are a significant rank factor doesn't know how to rank GBPs. Reviews are a very significant conversion factor, right? If you have fewer reviews than the other two top three players, you're probably not going to get many calls, even if you're in the top three, but they're not a significant rank factor, okay? My favorite example to demonstrate this is Plumber Houston. If you type Plumber Houston into Google, you'll see 3 plumbers ranking. If you hit more places, you can find plumbers with 10 times as many reviews, and you can find a lot of them. They're not in the top 3. Okay. Let's see. Market Suite is confirming what I said. Awesome. Thank you, sir. Alexander's question. First of all, thank you. Hey, I appreciate it, Alexander. We've implemented a lot of your tips and have seen good results. That's fabulous. I love hearing that. I prepared a few specific questions to go a bit deeper into some SEO strategies for local. Okay. What is the best approach to rank a client in a specific districts or boroughs of a large city? Should I target multiple keywords with a separate landing page for each district, or is it better include all district names in one main landing page so that those names appear within the content? What you're looking for here is to build geographical relevance. That's how you rank in specific locations. I talk quite a bit about how to build geographical relevance, but essentially, you're going to look at your rank map, and wherever your rank map is ranked 4, 5, 6, you're close to the top 3, but you're not quite there yet. You're going to produce content about that service, primary category, geography, and city name. So the example, I like talking about plumbers, so I'll use plumbers in Chicago as an example. So you run your rank map for plumber Chicago, and you have some 4s and 5s in Wrigleyville, which is the Chicago neighborhood around Wrigley Field, of course. So if I saw that, what I would do is I would write content, and my target keyword would be plumber Wrigleyville or plumber Wrigley Field in Chicago, something like that. And then I would write that article, talk about how many happy clients you have near Wrigleyville or near Wrigley Field, talk about the driving route that your texts take to get from your GBP address to the Wrigley Field. Talk about what's unique about Wrigley Field, right? Wrigley Field is a very old neighborhood in Chicago. So there's a lot of different challenges that come with being a plumber or being a roofer or being an electrician or whatever with older homes than with newer homes. So talk about that difference. Talk about the Chicago winters. Talk about what it's like on game days, right? All of these hyper local topics that show Google's algorithm that you are familiar with that area and you serve that area. Okay. That's how we build geographical relevance, by writing those articles where we see 4, 5s, and 6s. Hopefully that's helpful. Neighborhoods also work. So you could use Wrigleyville, but any geographical landmark, a park name, like town hall, a lake name, any like a major intersection, anything like that. Okay. What is the best SEO content strategy when focusing on just one major city with 2 or 3 main keywords? For example, in catering, the main keywords are usually catering, city name, finger food, city name, and maybe business catering, city name. Yeah. So here, generally, we're going to track and target the primary category and the city name. If that's not correct, if that's not the keyword that you actually want to rank for, then we'll do retheming, where we'll retheme the primary category to be whatever you want it to be. That really means using the actual target keywords in the title tag and then using the primary category in the H1 tag. That's retheming it so you can rank the primary category for something else. Example would be something like car accident attorney. Obviously, car accident attorney is not a primary category, so we would use civil law attorney, but then we'd use car accident attorney in the title tag, and we'd use civil law attorney in the H1 tag. That's how we signal to Google that we know what the primary category is, but we are actually going for and trying to rank for car accident attorney. Hopefully that is helpful. And Kevin, we absolutely can do a site audit. We'll see if we have time, but yeah, as we approach the end, absolutely. And Market Suite, commonly known as LSI. So that's not exactly MSI, LSI, but it's pretty close. The way I would think of LSI, and if you're looking at LSI, one of the tools that we use for that is called Page Optimizer Pro. It does a really good job. But yeah, usually if I think of LSI, it's going to be if I'm trying to rank for Star Wars, I'm not going to just put the word Star Wars in my content over and over again. I'm going to talk about Princess Leia and lightsabers and Darth Vader and all these other things. Those are LSI related keywords that we're not trying to rank for, that when you put them in your content, you're convincing Google that you actually know what you say. They're actually so effective that the founder of Page Optimizer Pro, he ranked a local business website number 2 or 3 for rhinoplasty, which is a nose job, rhinoplasty Plano. And he used lorem ipsum content and that's inserted these LSI keywords and things like that. But it was lorem ipsum, it was gibberish. So he founded the tool Page Optimizer Pro. We'll use it for GBP landing pages, maybe category pages that are super important, but we used to use it more before AI made content very inexpensive. But yes, appreciate for mentioning that, Market Suite. I'm guessing that's not your given name, but that's fine. Aaron, how you doing, man? What you got for me?
Doing good. Yeah, I appreciate all of your, I appreciate all of the education you're giving. I just joined last week. I don't own an agency. I just work with a custom home builder, handle all the marketing, and I'm just trying to get us some traction, get us some ranked. I have some smaller questions. I feel like you maybe have answered a few on this call, but I was just wondering too, kind of like Kevin, if you would just take a quick look and if you have any. I've started going through the course and I see there are things that I need to do. But see if there's any other things that you're seeing that that are specific to our business.
Sure. Why don't you stick around? Let me do Kevin's first, since he asked first, and then we'll go from there. Is that fair, Aaron?
Sounds good.
Awesome. All right, Kevin, let me know your URL. We'll take a look.
It's my last name.ca.
Okay. So, real estate agent, yeah? Or no?
Yes,
Wait, I'm confused.
Flaherty.ca.
Yeah, sorry. I'll just share screens. So this looks like a real estate agent, and then something about SEO came in. So I was suddenly debating if you were an agency or something. But okay, anyway. Um, Now, I am not a website designer, so take any design advice I give with a grain of salt. But so you have an animated hero image here, and we have tested this. It was years ago, but we tested this over and over again. And in general, these animated hero images, people hate them. Now, maybe your market is different. Maybe you've tested this and seen that your market really enjoys this, in which case, that's fine, knock yourself out. But my first thing that strikes me about this website is that these animated hero images killed conversion. So unless you have other data, I would suggest that you try getting rid of that. Just a simple static hero image. There's so much going on this above the fold. It's kind of overwhelming for me to look at. Um, so yeah, like you have your phone number down here, but I can't even see it. It's not click to call. I would definitely want to make it click to call. Uh, so let's see, top realtor Orangeville. Is realtor then your target keyword?
Actually, no. My target should be, and I just started going through your courses, so I just realized what you just said, but real estate Orangeville should be what I'm targeting.
Gotcha. And I don't see what do we have here? Okay. So this is weird, right? I click on this and this pop-up comes up. But there's no indication like where to. Oh, so it's just you. If I click on you, I get that. No, I can click that. Anyway, anyway. I don't see an H1 because this is all an image, right? And these are images.
Yeah, there's a lot of images.
Yeah, so maybe these are the H. Anyway, so I would also consider putting an H1 in here. Um, oh, and your background, you went fun with his background too. I mean, it's going to be similar, like just really, again, I'm not a website designer, but this is just very overwhelming to me looking at this. So, I would again encourage you to make the background a little bit simpler. Um, okay, so now all that being said, one of the challenges of realtors, and we've worked with realtors quite a bit, one of the challenges of realtors is most people who have like $500,000 plus homes, they're not necessarily finding their real estate agent by searching realtor near me or something like that. So we found that uh, targeting sellers is really, really hard with SEO because that's not how most home sellers find their agent. Targeting buyers, it can be done. And often the way that we would do that is by writing content articles about specific neighborhoods. And as we wrote about specific neighborhoods, the HOAs in those neighborhoods, what it was like to live there, the people who are searching for those neighborhood names are often the ones who are thinking about buying in that neighborhood. Yeah, okay. So
When you say put an H1 in, are you talking about a paragraph that is SEO rich from what I'm trying to
no,
get?
an H1 is a primary heading. So you only need one H1, and some other folks are giving you some advice. So it looks like you have a lot of H1 tags. Yeah, but you should have H1 is basically the largest heading. It's not the title tag, but it's basically you can think of it like the headline for the article overall. Very important because you will typically rank for what is on your H1 tag. It's only less important than the title tag, but you should have one per page. There are a couple of instances where we might go for more than one H1, but it's pretty rare. In general, it should be one per page. Um,
Market Studio pointed out, thanks, buddy, that I got a whole bunch of H1 tags used up. So that's a problem.
Yeah, yeah. Steven says no structured data. That's another thing that we would always check is how's the structured data. So when I'm looking at a new website, it's first is what's the H1 and or what's the title tag, and we're missing the key things you're trying to rank for. Then it's what's the H1. We want the H1 to also repeat the city name and the primary category. So we need that with only one H1 tag. I like to see the Google Business Profile embedded on it. And that is not the case here. There's no Google Business Profile embed.
So
So we would add that.
the
Go
Google, when
ahead.
you say Google Profile Business Embed, is that just like one component, like Google directions from
No,
the
no,
how
no.
to,
So if we, let's see. All right, so I'll assume that this is your Google Business Profile.
yes,
And if I look at the share button,
okay,
embed, it will generate embed code right here. So if I just take this code and put it on the website, you'll get an embedded map that looks like this on your website.
got it. Okay,
It's just another signal to Google that this website definitely belongs to this Google Business Profile.
okay, so embed that right on the front page. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Um, Anytime a phone number appears, it should be, uh, boy, it's not loading. Maybe I just have to wait a bit. Okay, I just had to reload it. No problem. Load it here. Um, yeah. So there's also not like there's a lot here, but there's also not very much. There's actually very little written content, and there's a ton of outbound links. And I think there's way too many links here. Like this, for example, is this really overkill? All of these being in the nav bar. I would suggest maybe having this link to one page. And oh, and this isn't a link either. This goes back to the homepage. I would suggest linking this to a listings page and then having all of your listings on that listings page. Um, and we really just want more written content and less images and things. It's a lot, Kevin. All of these YouTube embeds, again, I feel like this is too much. Like if you want the YouTube embeds, then these should be embedded on pages that are about this topic. So you could have an article, the number one mistake when placing your home on the MLS, and then embed this YouTube video. This is feels like too many homepage embeds. Um, if you wanted to rank for something like this, then we would want to write content about that. Again, too much animation. Remember, people in my experience, they get really turned off when there's animation and stuff like that. It's can be overwhelming to people. Um, so the canonical, Steven is saying canonical tag. I'm not too plussed by that. That I don't think that's that huge of an issue. Um, Similar thing here. If you wanted all of these things, then this needs to have more content, not just a bunch of links, right? This is too many links from your homepage. I mean, this content is fine, but this is not a great layout. I have to scroll so much to be able to read it. Like, there's nothing wrong with this, but it's also not great. So. I do like the embed of the GBP reviews. That's great to see. We like to see GBP review embeds. Uh, I mean, this is good. I would probably move this higher, right? This is an amazing social proof. This should be, because remember, I'm talking about goal completion. So what that means, when somebody lands on your website who doesn't know who you are, you have very little time to impress upon them why they should stick around more. And social proof is a huge part of that. And we don't really have any social proof until I've scrolled all the way almost to the bottom, right? So those are some things, but a lot of the feedback I'm just giving you now is design feedback. And Stephen, I can guess that the mobile speed isn't great just because there's so many animations. But let's see if we tried. Sometimes this works live and sometimes it doesn't. So nope, not history. Yeah, so we'll just run real estate agent near me and see how that looks. In general, most of the people who would land on this are going to be buyers looking for an agent, not sellers. Again, in my experience, maybe it's different in Ontario, in the Canada area. Um, yeah, okay. So this is a pretty rough rank map, obviously. I guess it's just having trouble filling this last line, and I can't see the rest of the data until it's filled in. There we go. Excellent. All right. So, so this is a sign that we need more topical relevance for real estate agent. Not a huge surprise because as we know, your title tag and H1s aren't quite right. I think you'll see some progress even just fixing those things. And if we work, boy, this is pretty, so this is very competitive. Maybe I ran this too large. The number one player is at 3% in the top three. So that's way too competitive. Let me rerun that,
Yeah,
zoom in a little bit.
yeah, the map was really large. It was even into a different country.
So I want miles because we're in America. All right. Oh, 25 miles. Yeah, that's too far. So let's zoom in. That seems a little tight. Maybe. Now let's try that.
It doesn't seem, it seems like it's on top of above my area instead of centered around my area.
Well, I mean, that's the address that I was able to pull. Do you have a visible address? You
Yeah,
do.
that's the address. Yeah, see the
Oh,
address.
yeah. I
Yeah,
see. Yeah, so you're better down here, which is where you're actually located.
right.
Let's try again. Luckily, it runs it pretty quick. I don't know what 54 Dwight Avenue is. Oh, yeah. So why is it running there? Because I can move the dots, but I don't want to sit here and do that. Perfect.
There you go.
All right. Hopefully this will make more sense.
Do you have a affiliate link for your lead snap?
I do, and the affiliate link gives you half off for 3 months.
Are you able to drop that into the chat?
Yeah, there you go. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. So a little bit better, obviously. And if we look at the top player, man, it's still really competitive. Top players are still just only seeing ranking right near where they are. So this is gonna like your best case is going to be to rank in a relatively small, tight area like this, because that's how the best players are doing. So yeah, make some of the changes that we've been talking about, a lot of those optimizations, title tag, homepage, you'll see some fixes. And then it's really going to be around topical relevance. So your top 3% is 0. And your best competitor is at about 11%. So you have some room to grow that with just producing topically relevant content. Again, I would you you maybe you have data on this, you know better, but based on my experience working with real estate agents, your target customer is almost always going to be a buyer's agent, not a seller's agent. So that's what I would think about when redesigning the website to make it simpler, more streamlined. What is a buyer's agent looking for when they first land on the page? You can have stuff about seller's agent. Maybe you're giving out your web address or something like that at a chamber meeting that you went to, so that you want information that sellers can use also. But most of the cold people who land on it are going to be buyer's agents, in my experience. Um, so anyway, hopefully that was helpful, Kevin. We just hit a couple of the key focus areas for getting it there. And yeah, if real estate agent near me is your target keyword, that needs to be in the title tag, in the H1. Get the GBP embed, simplify, more content. We didn't really look at your GBP. Let's take a quick scan at your GBP here. These pink things are from GMB Everywhere, which is another tool that I have installed. I'm happy to see that you have multiple categories. So the way that I would structure this, especially since you're looking for topical relevance, is, one of these obviously is your primary category. So maybe real estate agent, and that's your title tag, that's your H1. Then you're going to have subheadings, H2s, for all of your other secondary categories. So you'll have an H2 about real estate agency. You'll have 50 to 70 words about real estate agency. And then in that 50 to 70 words, you're going to have a link to a detailed page that talks about real estate agency. I do like seeing that you have the categories. You have a bunch of services in the categories. That's great. It looks like your primary category is real estate agency. That's fine if you think that's a better primary category for you. But we could also look at the category finder. Can I remember how to do that? I'm always kind of,
Title tag, the Orangeville real estate agent, or because my primary tag is real estate agency, should I say Orangeville real estate? I think people would be more apt to type in Orangeville real estate, or real estate Orangeville. Should that be my title tag and my H1, both that? Just that short statement?
So generally, the way that we choose a primary category is we want the primary category to also be what we are trying to rank for. So my go-to example of this is like an HVAC contractor, right? No one goes to Google and types HVAC contractor near me, yet so many HVAC contractors choose HVAC contractor as their primary category. The correct primary category for the vast majority of HVAC contractors out there is air conditioning repair contractor, which is its own, or air conditioning repair services, which are separate primary categories. Because most of the time, people are going to type into Google that their air conditioning is broke and they need air conditioning repair, right? So similar for you, your primary category should be what you're actually trying to rank for. So is it real estate agent? Is it real estate? I mean, obviously, real estate's not a primary category. Is it appraiser? Is it real estate consultant? So whatever your target audience is typing into Google is going to be usually your best choice for the primary category.
Will changing your primary category trigger an audit result thing?
Yeah. So changing anything on your GBP can trigger a re-verification requirement. The big ones that are more likely to trigger it is going to be if you change your business name, if you change your business address, and changing your primary category. Those are more likely to trigger a re-verification. But I had a client and I was going in there and I was ticking no that they didn't have an ADA accessible restroom, and that triggered a re-verification. So it can be a crapshoot. What's going to trigger it? What's not going to trigger it? Just be prepared whenever you're making significant changes to the GBP, that when that happens, you're going to have to potentially do the re-verification. So make sure your paperwork is in order. Make sure you're ready to record a video if they want it to be a video re-verification. Just be ready to do it. And that way, if it triggers it, you can get it re-recorded, re-verified in just a little bit, like, an hour or two after it happened, and then you can record the video and Google will usually get back to you in a day or two. So yeah, but changing the primary category, you're absolutely right. And normally I would rarely recommend changing the primary category because it's usually going to be pretty bad for your current ranking. But your current ranking is something that, has a lot of room for improvement. So making the primary category something that you actually want to rank for, I think is worth any temporary setback. And then just structure it out like the core 30, right? Talk about your secondary categories, link to them, talk about your core services you really care about, link to them, and just build out your site structure to mimic what your GBP structure is like, just like I talk about with the core 30 structure. Yeah, that's the approach that I would suggest. All right, a couple of other questions. Dan asks, when scheduling auto posts in GBP using LeadSnap, do you add images with these scheduled posts? We can. Sometimes we do. Usually we don't. Click find more. Okay. That must have been relevant to something else. What is the best approach when a caterer covers a very large delivery area, especially regarding the GVP? Let's say the business is based in Cologne, but delivers to Cologne, Bonn, Düsseldorf, and even Frankfurt. What's the best way to handle this? Multiple GVPs. Unfortunately, proximity is a massive rank factor for Google on GVPs. When we think about local SEO, basically what we're doing with local SEO is we're trying to build up enough trust and relevance to overcome proximity, right? Most businesses will rank pretty well if you're standing on the GBP address. What we're trying to do is get farther and farther away and still rank. So we're building up trust and relevance to overcome the proximity disadvantage. When that proximity disadvantage becomes hundreds of miles or hundreds of kilometers, it's not going to happen, right? If your business is based in Cologne, then you'll only rank for someone in Dusseldorf if they're searching for caterer Cologne, right? You will never rank for caterer near me if they're in Dusseldorf. To do that, you will need another GBP. All right, Dan, I used your prompt for hyperlocal service pages. Awesome. It worked very nicely. Glad to hear it. And it had it indexed within 1 day. Great. And is up. Awesome. All right. No question there. That was just great. Awesome. Glad to hear it, Dan. That's exciting. Love to hear stuff like that. All right. And George, do you have a video on how to do local schema? So the way that we do local schema, you can find like a local schema generating tool. Local schema. There's one that we use, generator. Yeah, this one right here. This one's fine. It's free. You can just plug your information in, and it will generate the very basic schema. Then the next step, once you have that basic schema generated, is I would give that schema to Claude and ask it to add service-specific schema for all of your services. So take all the services from your GBP, copy it, give that to Claude, give the schema that tool generates, give that to Claude, and then ask Claude to generate service schema to add to that local business schema. Take whatever Claude generated, or ChatGPT if you prefer, but Claude's probably going to do it a little better. Take whatever it generated and run that through the structured data testing tool, which you can find by searching for structured data testing tool. Right here. And when you run that structured data testing tool, make sure there are no errors and no warnings. If there are any errors or warnings, just copy the errors or warnings, give it to Claude and say, fix this. And eventually, with a couple of iterations, Claude will generate you local business schema with service schema on top of it that you can then copy paste onto your website. Putting that in the header is better, but you don't want it as a repeated element across the page, across the website, right? You only want local business schema specifically on the GBP landing page and nowhere else. You want other types of schema everywhere, like article schema, organization schema, website schema, all those other types of schemas you'll want broadly everywhere, but the local business schema only on the homepage. So if the header can't be done with whatever tool you're using, literally what we've done before, it works. You can just add the schema to any block of code on the homepage, and it'll work and it'll be fine. Okay. Scott asks, is it fine to embed the GBP if you don't have a pin on the map? The first thing I would say, if you don't have a pin on the map, that means that you are using a service area business. A service area business is significantly harder to rank than a non-service area business. When I say non-service area business, I mean a visible address. When I say significantly harder to rank, I mean on the order of 50% harder to rank. So if I gave someone a SEO quote that said, "Hey, we can do SEO on your website and we're going to rank your business and it's going to be $3,000 a month," if everything is exactly the same except their address is hidden, then my quote would be $4,500 a month. And honestly, I don't even take clients on anymore who have a hidden address because it's such a downside for trying to rank a business with a hidden address. So 100%, I would recommend make your address visible. Um, when you go to enter an address, if the address you enter is different from the one that you got the GBP verified with, you're going to trigger a re-verification because you're basically changing the address. And what's fun about that is Google won't tell you what the address is that you originally verified, but it knows what the address is. So yeah, you have to remember whatever address you verified. If you don't want your primary residence address to be visible on the internet, which I get, then usually my advice would be to rent an office. It's usually going to be less expensive to rent an office than to pay the additional fees to actually rank a service area business. Because you also, in order to do citations and things like that, without a visible address, you can't do citations. You can't do any of these other things. So service area business, in my experience, big no-no. Make the service area, make a visible address. Okay. Alexander asks, since it's important that how did you get in here? Remove. I try not to let AI note takers in because it just seems funny to me. If I let all the AI note takers in, then I could have an AI delivering it and we could have an AI taking notes from the other AIs, and then we could all just review the notes on the end. So anyway, I kick out AI note takers. Okay. Alexander asks, since it's important that all landing pages are interlinked within the site, is it enough to link all city-based landing pages in the footer, or does Google treat it differently if those landing pages are also linked within the copy of other pages? So I'm getting a little confused by your terminology here, Alexander. So when I say GBP landing page, I mean very specifically the one and only URL that appears in your Google Business Profile under the website box. So if you have multiple landing pages, then that would imply that you have a multi-location business. I don't think that's the case here, so I'm not sure what you're referring to for landing pages, but I do talk quite a bit about how to do the interlinking correctly, right? We want all the service pages linked to all the category pages linked to and from the home page, all the location pages, the geographic pages are going to be linked to whatever page they're trying to build geographical relevance for, which you'll know based on the keyword that you ran the rank map for that you're trying to improve the ranking, right? So if you're trying to improve ranking for plumber near me, then this page you're supporting is going to be the GBP landing page because the GBP landing page is focused on your primary category, plumber. If you're trying to improve the rank map for water heater replacement, then that page will link to your water heater replacement specific page, not your home page. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, John asks, I added more product pages to my website that are specific to the products I offer. I heard this can increase my SEO rank a lot. I also went to my Google Search Console to index and it was successful. Do you have any advice about using product pages to drive more traffic to a website? So are you talking e-commerce, John? Is this e-commerce, or you added a product like, mowing the lawn or for something like that for a landscaping business? The GBP has room for products. I've heard a lot of YouTube SEO people say that if you fill out the products pages on your GBP, you can rank in other cities. We tried it dozens of times. It didn't do anything. So I don't think that's true, if I'm going to be honest. So yeah, I mean, adding more product pages is basically a version of improving topical relevance. So that absolutely can be helpful. All right, Dan asks, do the hyper-local service pages need to be listed in the footer or menu? Neither. The hyper-local service pages they should not be listed in the footer or the menu. They should be linked to from the pages that they're supporting, and they should link to the pages that they're supporting. Do you manually generate your interlinks or do you prefer a plugin? Dear God, Dan, please do not use a plugin for interlinks. If you do, then you will be very easy to overrank. The plugins are terrible. They're awful. They confuse Google's algorithm to the nth degree because they just randomly interlink things that whatever the plugin thinks is relevant to each other. The way to do that interlinking is to build topical silos. And those topical silos are going to be based on the categories and services that are on your GBP. So if you have a service under category 1 and a service under category 2, you don't link those two service pages together because they're under different silos under different categories. Okay, so always 100% manually done. There's no app that can do it and not mess up your website. But if you really want to rank well in a specific city, what you should do is reach out to every single local business you're competing with and try to get them to install the interlinking plugins. They'll be much easier to outrank. Okay. I'm trying to rank in a town that I'm 1/8 of a mile from, but I'm located in a different town. How badly will that affect my SEO? So it depends. The short version is when your city name changes, Kevin, it gets harder to rank. I have a lot of clients where I can run a rank map and I can see them go from top 3 to like 15 plus, and right where that line happens is the border from one city to another. So when the searcher's in a different city, it gets harder to rank across city lines. Whether it can be done is largely based on the competition in the area. Sometimes it can be, often it can't, right? So if you were like in Naperville and you're trying to rank in Chicago, I would tell you that you need a new GBP. You're not going to rank a GBP with a Naperville address in downtown Chicago. That's not going to happen. That's not your situation, as I know. You're probably talking about the real estate website. So for here, we would look at other competitive, your other competitors and see if there are any competitors who are able to rank across towns in your area. There are some areas where it's much easier to rank across town borders, right? Like the Jersey Shore, Orange County, Long Island, areas where people aren't focused on the actual city name they live in, but the more the geographical area. Those areas much easier to rank across borders. So just run your local rank map, and then just like you saw me doing, you can view the heat map. You can view the rank map from your competitors and see if there's anyone who's been able to rank across town names. But if you're only 1/8 of a mile from, you should be able to do it most of the time. Okay, George, I have the basic plan and I want to switch to pro. What's the best way to proceed? You can reach out to either Elliot Berard or me, and we'll get you hooked up. So once you join the pro community, then what we'll do is ask you to leave the $27 a month community, and then we'll send you a link so that you can rejoin the $27 a month community at no charge. So you don't have to pay for both. All right, and Google mainly require video verification. Yeah, you're right. It was a JT, JR. Sorry. It's been a long time since there's been anything other than video verification. There are a couple of ways that we can bypass the video verification, but yeah. Okay, schema related. Yeah, Sean agreed. That's the schema validator that I had sent over earlier. Awesome. JT, excellent. All right, and John, and for insurance and retirement products, so not e-com. So yeah, in that case, John, whether those are products or services, either one is fine, whatever makes sense. And then the way that you build your website, they're going to just appear as topical relevance underneath the relevant category, pretty much exactly the same that we would do for most others. All right, so with that, Aaron had asked for a quick look at his website. So let me share and we'll dive in. All right, so we got Mission Home Builders in Austin, Texas. I'm going to say the same thing about the hero image.
Right.
People love animated hero images for some reason, but they often just don't work very well. All right, so first thing, I'm going to see if I can find your GBP. There it is. Awesome. So the phone number matches. That's good to see. All right, and Mission Home Builders. So let me do a new rank map. Mission Home Builders. Can't find it. No problem. It's in Austin, Texas. Select country, Caleb Olku. Great. Thank you. No, that's not a country. All right, there it is with 10 reviews. And then we'll do, what do you think?
Custom home builders are main
Custom
one.
home builder. All right. So if that is your target keyword, it should be in your title tag. And it is, but it's after your brand. Typically, we'll put the target keyword before your brand. The earlier in your title tag the words appear, the more impactful it is. So we'd want that first. No problem. I'll just see how large your website is. 37, so not tiny. Often like to see a click to call button somewhere on the above the fold on the landing page. Remember, the goal is to have a goal completion. When someone lands on your page, they should be able to do what they need to do as fast as possible. For most local businesses, that's to call. So I'd love to see some sort of click to call. I actually had to go all the way to your footer to see the phone number. I do like, I'm assuming this is the H1. I'm not going to look at the code, but it's big enough that this feels like the H1, and you have custom home building. Close enough. So we'll keep scrolling down. So the first paragraph of content, the first few sentences of content, again, we want it to focus on goal completion. Why would someone call you? What do you have to say to get them to call? For most cold traffic that land on your website, you only have, 5 to 15 seconds to actually convince them to do something. So that's what we want this to be above the fold. We want to hit them straight away with why they should call you, what the goal is. So you talk about that a little bit here. I might talk more about what matters to them and less about yourself, if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
that is a fine tuning, I guess, just to talk about the person who has landed on your page, right? You're going to hold someone's attention more if you talk about them instead of talking about yourself. I like seeing the images here. They look nice under our work. That's great. Okay, and now we have some more details down here, and these are links to other pages. Awesome, awesome. Fine. All right, so I would want to see the GBP embedded on here, and I would want to see GBP reviews. You do have 10, so I'd want to see those. We can check structured data. So we have local business schema. That's pretty good, but it's pretty thin. So I would definitely add a lot more factors here. Oh, and here we have a much more detailed one. So that's good. It's just being recognized as two separate ones because you have home and construction business and then local business here. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Okay, and here's your rank. So let me see if I can make this a little bigger. So the top dog is pretty close to where you're at. Verde. There you go. Okay. So this is similar to what I was just talking about with Kevin in terms of the proximity. So they're located here on the east side of Austin. And as they go west, their ranking drops. This is a very common pattern that we see because they're hitting more and more competition. It takes more and more to overcome that and stay relevant. So if we look at them really quick, and we can look at Southerly Homes, and we can look at Alchemy Builders. So all three of them have a lot more reviews than you. I'm not saying that's an important part of why you're not ranking, but even if you were ranking, you wouldn't get very many calls just because they have a lot more reviews, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind. And you see, they have a static hero image here. They have 238 results. I hate this hero image. They have 393. And they have 6, so real small. Okay. So your website, we looked at, is about 50 results, and you do have some top three, right? You're not terrible. Your mission. mm, it's not showing me that. No problem. We're at 1.1. Why is this so confusing? It says 1.18 and 15th. Anyway, I guess you're on page two. 1.18, page three. There we go. Okay. I don't know why it says 15th there. You're clearly not 15th. You're like in the 50s. Okay. So you basically have two spots in the top three.
Mhm.
And it's nice to see that your address is right there in Austin. So we are starting to build some trust here, right? So that's good. Uh, but I still would do more topical relevance here. So right around, we're trying to get to like probably 3, 4, 5% top three before we have enough topical relevance. So I would just produce more content about custom home builder Austin. Make sure your core 30 is done. Fill out all of your primary, secondary categories. Like if I look at your mission home builders, if I come and take a look at your Google Maps listing, mission home builders. So we do have multiple categories. That's awesome. So we can hit find more. And this is the category finder I was looking for earlier, but we'll let that load. We'll hit basic audit. Also, all right, perfect. So what this says is there are 90,000 GBPs that have custom home builder as the primary category. Then remodeler, construction company, home builder are also there. And then we're given a bunch of related categories based on GBPs that have these. So if you want more categories, this would be, looking through here. Do any of these make sense? Are any of these relevant to the services that you offer? And then once the basic audit and the services, okay, so we do have a lot of services on here. So that's awesome. So I would really start here by going through the core 30. Like I want to see a couple of the changes to the homepage that we talked about. Based on the competitiveness of the area, that's not likely going to be enough. So once we do that, then we're going to start to produce core 30 content, which is one page for every category and service that's on the GBP. When I look at it, we don't have that right now.
Mhm.
We have a couple. Maybe these are custom home building, whole home remodel. I don't think so, based on the categories that you have here. So I would want to use these exact words, construction company in a subheading, home builder in the subheading, remodeler in a subheading. Because your rank is not awful compared to your competitors, you need some work, but you're not at zero. I would probably insert that content somewhere around here and push the rest of this stuff down. I wouldn't delete the stuff you have. Just insert it. Have that in the H2, have 50, 70 words below it, and then just talk about each one of those. Then once you have the category page, build out the full category page. And on that category page, talk about every single one of the service pages that you have. Okay? Hopefully that was helpful, Aaron.
Definitely. Hey, one quick question. Do you have is there like a site or a template of a site that is just structured the way you want to, that you want it for us to kind of model after or
No, it's really just I do have in the training, I do have like a PowerPoint slide that gives the structure for the primary category, the secondary categories, and then all the services that live below the secondary categories.
Okay, cool. Yeah, appreciate it.
Awesome. Let's see. Okay. John asks, question regarding the phone number matching the GBP. If they have a call tracking number, is it okay to have that as the primary and the secondary, their actual phone number, which is matched the site typically? Usually that is fine. I would rather have the call tracking number be the one on the site, but that's fine. All right. Then we got Josh and Scott both want site audits. I'm not sure if we'll have time for that. We're already over already. Kevin, how many H2s should you have? Typically on the homepage, we're going to limit it to 6 to 8. Um, and well, 6 to 8 category and service pages. You can have more H2s if you want. Yeah, and then Market Suite gives some input on perfect. Yep, on the schema geo coordinates. Good. All right, so let's see. Maybe we can take a look at one more. We can take a look at Josh's or Scott's here. Garden State Mosquito. So we'll come in and share. All right. So let's see if we can find your GBP. There it is. Excellent. Pest control service. All right. Now, based on the business name, I'm guessing that it's not generalized pest control. It's specific Garden State Mosquito. Is it going to find it? Yes, it did. All right. Getting rid of ticks. So I'm trying to figure out what your target keyword would be. Mosquito treatment? What do you think? No answer. No H1. No, I know. I'm looking for Scott. Scott, are you there? Yes, or mosquito
Yes, sir, I'm
spray.
here. Sorry about that.
No problem. So let's do mosquito treatment near me. Did I spell mosquito correctly? Close enough. Google will figure it out. This is a little large because we're getting all the way into lower Manhattan. There we go. All right. Well, we'll keep going on some other things while that's loading in the background. So we'll do the site colon. How big is your website? 25 results. Pretty small. I'm guessing 848 is is the local area code. Great. So if we're targeting mosquito treatment or mosquito spraying, those words should be in your title tag. They aren't. Um, Again, I think Stephen mentioned the same thing. Even if there's not actual code that says H1, I don't care about the code as much as I care about what Google thinks. We know that Googlebot is rendering websites with the most recent version of Chrome Mobile. So the big words on top, Google is going to count as H1, even if they aren't actually coded as H1. The coding is actually less important. So regardless, we want this ideally it would be coded as an H1, but regardless, we wanted to also mention our primary keyword, mosquito spraying or mosquito treatment, whichever one we actually care about.
I just
I-
sent over the adjustments that are being made at the moment.
Okay, so mosquito and tick control as your title tag. That would be, again, are people going to search for mosquito and tick control, right? And I don't know the answer to that. Is it control? Is it treatment? Is it spraying? We want to match what people are searching for. Okay. And if I look at your GBP, how's my heat map coming? Hey, pretty good. It's looking pretty good, Scott. Not terrible, not terrible. So you're number 2 um, in average ranking, number 3 in top. I don't know why it defaults. I want top 3. Yeah, not bad. So this is number 1. So there's a little bit of room here, but not a lot, honestly. So what I said about changing the title tag and everything, I'd still recommend it, but the better your ranking is, the more risky it is to change things, especially important things like your title tag.
Okay.
Yeah. And then come here. So your GBP category, you have one category, pest control service. So we can take a look and see if there's anything. This is a very niche service. I wouldn't be surprised if you only had the one. I would advise getting rid of this blog section. just
Okay.
because this is just going to create a bunch of non-relevant links from your homepage, which you really don't want. Um, that's a terrible freeze frame of that poor woman. Similar, like, okay, your copyright date is out of date. That should be updated. I know it seems piddly and minor, but you have to remember, right? Google is trying to figure out if you're a trustworthy business based on what it can find on your website. I'd add the GBP embed. I'd add GBP review embed. You do have a good number of reviews, 53. Um, we can take a look if any of these. So you do talk about bird, not bird. You do talk about deer, maybe bee relocation services. I don't know if any of these are relevant to you. Think about adding them. If none of them are, then don't. Obviously, but we have some ideas there. You do have a bunch of services. Yeah. Okay. And it's all ticks and mosquitoes, which is fine. So really, to take what you have and start to rank a little bit better. Uh, I'm not sure that I would dive into the core 30 because Google clearly knows that you do mosquito spraying, mosquito treatments, and it has a good idea of where you do it. So what we're really trying to do at this point, if you said, "Hey Caleb, do my SEO for me," um, I would come in and I would do all of the housekeeping stuff we just talked about. I didn't check schema. Steven says it needs to be improved, so he probably looked at it. So take a look at the schema. But most of my path forward is going to be focused on like turning this 4 into a 3, right? I want this 4 to be a 3. So the content that I'm going to write is going to be based on something like mosquito treatment Elberon near Trenton Falls, mosquito treatment, Elberon Park, mosquito treatment, Deal Park, mosquito treatment, Deal, mosquito treatment, Deal Golf near the Deal Golf and Country Club in Deal, mosquito treatment, Whitesville, mosquito treatment, Grove. I'm going to write all of these location, geographic specific articles about where I have these 4s, 5s, just trying to push them into a top 3. Here, maybe I do mosquito treatment near the Jersey Shore premium outlets, right? I'm looking for any geographic barrier I can look at
And that's going
that
in the
Google is
GMB though,
calling
right?
out. What's that?
That's going in the GMB, right?
No, these are all
Google My
pages that
Business.
will go on your website.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, so we have the prompt, the single prompt for content writing. So we would say the target keyword would be mosquito treatment near Jersey Shore premium outlets in Trenton, in Tinton Falls, New Jersey. That would be the uh, that would be the target keyword. You'd write it. You'd talk about how much your text loves spraying houses near the Jersey Shore outlets. You talk about customers that you have who live near there. You give the driving directions that your texts take from your business address to the Jersey Shore Premium Outlets area. And then you would just do it again for the Monmouth Jet Center. You could do it for Asbury Road. Now, this is all green. I don't know the area super well, obviously, but Google Maps calling this green implies to me that not many people live here, so that probably wouldn't be a major focus of yours. But here we have like this number 6 right on Freehold. So this would be a major target for me. I would want to write one about Freehold because you can turn a 6 into a 3. And I would just go through and produce that content one dot at a time. I would take images. I would geotag them to match these locations. Like I would geotag some images that matches Beacon Hill, and I'd upload those images to it just to reinforce that geographic signal to Google that yes, we do work in that area. We help people in that area, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, take
Got it.
care of a lot of those housekeeping things, and then my focus is going to be on geographic relevance content.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, Scott. All right. So with that, I think we will call it. We're a little over, and I don't want to. My voice is starting to hurt. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming. In the interim, we will be doing this again. It will be the first one of 2026. So that will be on January 5th, 2026. Kind of wild. We probably won't have flying cars by then, even though it's 2026 and it feels like we should. That's fine. So in the interim, go ahead, post in the school group if you have any questions. We have Elliot there. He's doing a great job keeping that up to date, answering people's questions. Go ahead and tag me if you want me to see your post. You can send me a message. I try to respond to every message I get. And yeah, other than that, I will see you guys in 2026. Thank you very much for coming.